Welcome back, folks. It's Andrew Beach, and I am an executive coach here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. I actually teach self-education. I help professionals communicate their unique value to find great new jobs faster. And I've actually, over the past 12 to 13 years, coached in excess of 1,100 people personally. So you can say, this isn't my first rodeo. Today, what we're going to cover, and before we get there, I would ask you please leave a comment. Any questions that you have, I'd be happy to answer those questions. Just leave those in the comments below or in the chat on the side, and I'll get to those as we go through the broadcast. But if you could just give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and that everything is coming through okay, that would be great. Anyways, so what we have here now today is the topic called preparing for a phone screen. I've had a couple of coaching clients actually ask me, Ash, I have a phone screen. What should I do to prepare? And so we're going to cover some of the steps that you can take to actually improve and get better results from your online efforts. When you make an application, you get a phone screen. Sometimes you're not quite sure how to prepare for that. So we're going to help fill in some of the blanks for you. So if you would please go ahead and share this, tag somebody in the comments that you think might benefit from getting the information, and then we'll jump right into the presentation. Okay, so today really we're focused on a couple of things. First is, what can I do to actually get better results in my interviews? Okay, so let's look at it from that perspective. Recognizing that this question or series of questions coming from HR is from, in most cases, a playbook. So we're going to help you prepare for this, whether it's a phone screen with HR or hiring manager, just getting really good at talking on the phone. So without further ado, I will go ahead and start the presentation. First, in preparation for any phone screen, we highly recommend that you really study the job description. It's not an all-encompassing description of what the job is. In fact, a lot of times it might be off base. A lot of the content might be from a third-party source, and so it might not be a definitive answer to what they're actually looking for. So do your study of the job description. You want to understand, what are your strengths? What are you bringing to the table, and how do you want to position those strengths when you get on the phone with HR? Okay, because it's likely they're going to ask you the number one common question, tell me about yourself, or tell me how you would be a great fit for this role. A general icebreaker question is always coming up front, so having a prepared response based on your study of the job description would be great. Now, it's also totally okay for you to ask questions during the phone screen. So if you're not 100% sure after you read the job description what is truly the job duties and responsibilities of this person or this role, then please write those down. Ask those up front. Here's what I see the role to be, Mr. or Mrs. Recruiter. Could you validate for me what are the top 2 or 3 things that you're looking for in this requisition or this role or this job description? Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, you also, when you review the job description, you might want to identify areas of vulnerability. What do I mean by that? Well, it's not uncommon that you don't have 100% of the requirements they're looking for. It's okay. Just be aware that you need a position based on your strengths, be aware of your vulnerabilities, and address them up front as to how you would actually perform well in the role, even though you have those vulnerabilities. Now, we're not going to bring those up and overemphasize them, but we're certainly going to cover them in how we position ourselves, okay, online. Now, what's number 2? Number 2 is prepare answers to the common questions. You can do research online. Most phone screens take 20 to 30 minutes. And when you do your research online, just type in top phone screen questions from HR. And there's going to be a series of questions that are most commonly asked. Tell me, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you bring to this role? What are your salary expectations? Why are you looking for work? Honestly, if you look online, where do you think most people get their questions when they're interviewing? My suspicion is they get a lot of those questions online. So you can get the playbook, the scripts for which they're going to ask questions, and you can develop your own. Okay? So look up those questions and know there's really no new questions, and this will help you prepare a script to answer those questions. The good part is, when you're on the phone, nobody knows you got a script in front of you. Okay? So follow the script, follow the playbook. In most cases, there aren't any new questions. Okay? Step number 3, research the company and the players. Now, the company is going to, one of the great questions that I hear a lot is, tell me what you know about our company. Tell me what you know about this position. It's going to tell that recruiter whether or not you're plugged in, whether or not you're turned on to what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve, and where they're going. Okay? And so in that case, what you want to do is do a lot of research online, on LinkedIn, do a Google search, check their press releases if they're publicly traded, maybe look at some of their annual reports. Even better yet is firsthand knowledge. So if you know somebody inside the company, this is often going to be a good indicator on whether or not what you're reading in the press is actually true. So don't hesitate to reach out to people you know inside the company to see how you can get some insider information on what is this role, where's the company going, what is the strategy, right? Things you may not get in the common press, okay? Another great resource that's getting more and more traction now is Glassdoor. You can typically find a lot of the common interview questions and answers for a company online. It's on LinkedIn, or excuse me, it's on Glassdoor. You just put in the company, you type interview, and it's going to give you the interview questions, okay? So go ahead and prepare answers and practice answers for those questions, okay? Now, while you're there on Glassdoor and several other sites, you might also want to do a little bit of research on the pay scale, because one of the number one questions is, what is your salary expectation? And they always have one. And if you go to my website, andrewbeach.com, and type in how to answer the dreaded salary question in the search bar, you're going to see some scripts and dialogues on how to do that. That's at andrewbeach.com. And I'll see if I can leave a link down below for you. Okay? So find out the pay ranges, because they're going to ask you. And so does the pay range meet your requirements? If not, tell them, hey, I see the pay range for this role according to the market is in this range. Is that in line with your budget? If it's not, then you have some decisions to make, both as a recruiter and as a candidate. Okay? Step number 4. Of course, there's no definitive 5-step process, right? There might be 15 steps that you want to follow, but these are just generalities. We're giving you some tips, some ideas to use that you can use today. Now, maybe leave me a question down below. I'd like to hear, what are some of the common interview questions you've heard recently that you maybe had a difficult time answering, and maybe we can do a little chat, little collaboration in the comments on how to best answer that question, okay? So I want this to be interactive. Go ahead and leave some comments down below on what you've seen in terms of common interview questions, okay? Step 4, practice your answers. I can't overemphasize this enough. It's good that you have a script. It's good that you know the questions and you write down the answers, but until you actually verbalize these questions and answers live and online, and maybe even record it to your phone, just like I'm doing here on Instagram or YouTube, or maybe just on your phone itself and play it back. Work on the phone with a friend or a family member or somebody that's also going through a corporate workforce reduction program, transition. Find some partners, get to work with some folks and practice. Make it fun, okay? So the other thing you might want to do is write them down over and over again. A lot of the greatest actors and actresses in this world, they read from a script. They practice their script. They internalize their script. They might even write their script by hand over and over again until they internalize those words and that scripting, okay? We can learn from that. Some of the highest paid people in the world don't wing it. They take it from a script. So it's okay. You can have a script. Just don't let it be like you're reading a script. You want it to be natural, authentic. Don't write down something that isn't true, of course, okay? So flashcards are working, something that we learned maybe even as kids in school, okay? So the last thing I'm going to talk about is environment. Now, when I do these live streams, I'm actually standing. And when you stand, it allows your diaphragm to actually extend. When you're sitting, your diaphragm is compressed and you can't actually project energy. Now, I also have hands-free. So you should stand up. You should have a hands-free headset. This is why practicing with friends on the phone makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're practicing on the phone and it's messed up, you're going to ask your other person, hey, is the sound on this thing messed up or does it sound good to you? All right? And so you'll figure out those idiosyncrasies as you go along, okay? So standing up, hands-free, turn off your computer. The number one distraction in this whole process is a computer. I'm doing this live stream, there's a computer in front of me, and it can be a distraction. So when you turn it off, you're 100% focused on your scripts and on the conversation with the other person. So please turn off your computer. Now, the other thing is, we suggest standing up, and perhaps maybe you have a master bathroom that's got a big mirror in it. I would suggest seeing if you could stand up in there, put your scripts up on the mirror, and then you can kind of see yourself, making sure you smile, using hand gestures so that you can get across the points that you want to get across in that environment. So standing up, hands-free, using your scripts, computer turned off. Make sure you take notes on a piece of paper, of course, not on a computer or your phone. So by taking notes, what you're going to find is that you may write down a question and you're like, wow, that was a good question. I don't think I answered that really well. So that when you follow up with the recruiter or the hiring manager, you can say, hey, I felt like I didn't answer that question absolutely the way I wanted to. Let me reiterate what I really meant, or to refine and enhance that message as to what I meant by that answer. Okay? So make sure you take notes. Now, there's many other things that you can do as part of this phone screen preparation, but recognize the outcome you want is an on-site, or at least a conversation with a hiring manager on the phone. Okay? So when you go to the phone screen with a recruiter, really what you want to do is position yourself for an on-site. And so that would logically, in most cases, be the next step. So phone screen to on-site to offer. Okay? And there may be a series of other interviews there. That's where doing your research on the company is really going to help you. Okay? But keep in mind, recruiters, for the most part, and I'm probably going to maybe upset some of my recruiter friends, and I apologize in advance, they're binary thinkers. It's a 1 or a 0. Okay? So a lot of times they're not looking for a large response to the question, do you have 10 years experience? Yes or no? That's known as a knockout question. So recognize when the recruiter is contacting you, they're not trying to demean you. They're trying to see if you fit. And by fit, they mean, do you check the main boxes for that requisition? Do you have the experience? Do you have the education, right? Tell me about your experience. It's unclear on your resume that you have experience in this particular area. So just recognize that they're binary thinkers by trade, and they're looking to filter the right people into the process. That means that the stack of people that are filtered out is much larger. Okay? So we want to be the person that answers their questions directly, within reason, and gets to the next step and makes that recruiter's life easy. Okay? So let's go ahead and head into the chat and see if there's any questions there. Okay? If you have questions, of course, just go ahead and leave them down below, and I'll see what I can do. Okay. Oh, actually, I had one from a client just this morning. He asked me, Andrew, I said something in the phone screen that I can't really reel back in. What should I do? I said, the best thing to do really is probably just send a message and say, hey, based on our conversation, these are the strengths I bring to the table, and this question I didn't answer very well. Okay? And we just kind of bring it all together and say, hey, thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to meeting with the hiring manager next Tuesday or whatever the next step might be. I look forward to hearing back from you on a face interview with the hiring manager for next week. Okay? So that's it for FAQ Friday and the top ways to prepare for your interview phone screen. Okay, we'll see you next. Oh, one more thing. I almost forgot. How could I do that to you? Okay, so there's one more thing I want to make you aware of, is that if you got value out of this and every FAQ Friday, I am currently, right now, writing the curriculum for a 3-step program that I found is where most people fall down, okay? Most people are making online applications. It's not a difficult process. Most people are applying online and relying on their resume cover letter to get them results. So I'm not going to be the guy that helps you write the perfect cover letter and the perfect resume. I'm the guy that's actually going to help you get in the door and find opportunities before they're posted. Okay? And so the idea is, hey, if we can make the hiring manager's life easy and make recruiting life easy, then we're going to build relationships with the right people, and that's called networking. So I've created a 3-step curriculum called the 3 Steps to Career Success. And this is an online learning program. It's an experience. So there's not only the online learning, but there's also the collaboration with me in a team environment to help you get to where you want to go. Okay? And so the first step is, who are you? We would help you develop and formulate a brand and a branding message so that when you throw your hand out to shake somebody's hand, you don't say, oh, I'm looking for work, or I'm a project manager at Nike, right? The things that don't communicate value are the title at your company. We're going to teach you how to actually communicate your value and your strength, not your title at your company, okay? The second step is, what do you want to do next? This is market preparation. You identifying target companies and target people and putting together a plan to actually approach that market with your brand, okay? So I know this sounds a lot like sales, which it kind of is, but the difference is we're going to teach you the right definition of sales. Many people look at sales as, how can I do something to somebody to get them to buy? And sales is not a transitive verb. It doesn't require an object, meaning a person. Sales is a philosophy, and the philosophy is, it's the art of asking questions that leads you to a desired end result beneficial for both parties, okay? And in that case, it's a little different. You're more like a consultant or an investigative journalist, okay? And so we'll help you with that definition of sales so you don't come off sleazy. Sound good? Okay? And then the third step is how to meet the right people, meaning we give you a system, a process, a checklist, an ABC, a 1, 2, 3 on how to do professional networking so that you can get good results in your career success or your promotion intentions, okay? And so here's what I'd like you to do. If you would please, if you're interested at all in that kind of a program that takes you through those 3 steps, go to brandingdynamo.com and put your name on the list. I'm going to do the first run of this course in November, and there's going to be a limited number of people. So if you're interested, please get on the list, and I will make sure that you're made aware of the offer when it becomes available. Okay? So thank you again. It's Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. Happy networking.